Hi, Sophia here. Welcome to BTN Extra. Thanks for joining us. Let's see what's coming up. We meet some kids who are learning the ropes of the music biz while still in high school. The incredible journey of a Japanese soldier's war diary and an emotional reunion 67 years later. Plus, we check out a plane that flies like a bee. First today to our top story. From musicians to sound engineers, the live music industry hires a lot of people. In fact, it's estimated to be worth about $1.2 billion a year to the Aussie economy. In South Australia, the next generation of performers are getting the chance to build up their skills while they're still at school. So Kirsty takes a look at what a typical day is like for those budding musos.
Now give me an E chord, just go. But let me hear. Yeah, now raise your goblet of rock. It's a toast to those who rock. It was way hardcore! Yeah! Now we're rocking!
In TV shows and movies, we hear what it takes to rock out on stage. But when this class plugs in their instruments, they're learning much more than that.
Okay, first things first. Do you want to clear the board perhaps, Esther? Rub the board out. Amber, have you got your lyrics handy?
These high school kids are learning about songwriting and performing through an arts organisation. It's a part of their studies, and they get to spend one day a week here playing music.
I guess it really delves into how music is constructed, how it's just mastered and perfected, and I think that at school they don't really focus on writing songs, they more focus on learning a song properly, but here it's like you become a part of what you're doing, so it's pretty good. It's good.
The day starts like this.
Okay, well how about we do this? Can you write just the first verse up on the board now? And we'll start working on some chords for this first, and then we'll maybe try and find a vocal melody between us, yeah?
Amber is the lyricist, so she's the one who works out the words that'll be used in the song. She's inspired by friends, family, and things that happen in her life.
It's amazing because I just sit in my room and write lyrics with no melody, and to come here and have it put into a proper structured song, it's just amazing.
The next step is to work out some chords, and that's where the guitarists come in. They work out how the song will sound.
So what you say is E minor, C.
E minor, C out of 9, G, and G with F sharp bass. So.
All right, okay, so...
The best ideas don't always come quickly, so they have to fiddle around to work out what sounds best. The chords are a big part of the song because they guide how the vocals should sound.
Either Samila or Angela, do you want to have a shot at trying to find a melody for this while we're playing it? You got an idea?
Yeah.
You left me broken with words unspoken, and I fade away, I fade away, I fade away.
Yeah. That's really good.
I like it.
Answer, great lyrics.
Slowly, the song is built. Then it's time for rehearsals.
Ready to go, Lockie?
This is a song they wrote 2 weeks ago, and now they're trying to fine-tune it. There are other courses the kids can do too, like sound and lighting, studio recording, and the music business. Some people who have done these courses have gone on to talent shows like The X Factor. But it's not just about being a musician. Eventually, these students could also find work as a songwriter.
If you know how to write songs, they can be used for live bands, can be used in TV commercials, can be used in movies, in a recording studio. If you're a session musician, you can learn how to construct parts. So really, anything in composition will help you after school in a myriad of different parts of the music industry.
For now, the kids are soaking up as much of the experience as they can.
It's helped me so much because I didn't have much knowledge on the music industry and on songwriting and performing, I guess, and you don't really learn that much at school.
So for now, they're playing in this small rehearsal space. But with their talent getting an extra head start here, it hopefully won't take too long before they hit the big time.
Next up to an extraordinary journey, but it wasn't taken by a person. For 67 years, a diary from the Second World War sat in a shed in Australia, but it actually belonged to a Japanese soldier who fought in the war. Now, after all this time, the accidental owners are returning it to its rightful owner. Here's James to find out how it all went.
It's a long way from the battlefields of World War II, but here in the bush near Orange in New South Wales, one last piece of the puzzle telling what happened in those battles was uncovered.
It became a very heavy responsibility. It was like a piece of history in your hand, like a piece of somebody else's life, that you really had no right to have.
That piece of history is an old Japanese diary. It's full of writing, prints, and a behind-the-scenes look at what life at war was like. But what's even more amazing is where the diary ended up. It fell into the hands of this woman, Lindy. Her father-in-law was an Aussie soldier who fought in the war in New Guinea, and he brought it back to Australia with him. When he died, the old diary was handed down to Lindy's husband.
It was not something that was ever on show. It was put away in a box, not mentioned, not talked about.
One day, when Lindy was going through some old boxes, she stumbled on the diary, and she decided it was really important to return it to its owner. So she got to work, finding how it could be done. Her first step was getting in touch with a researcher who was listing Japanese war items in Australia.
It's just amazing because it's very rare for those diaries to be kept outside, Japan.
Keiko was able to reveal some secrets of the diary, and most importantly, who it belonged to.
And she was able to give me his name, which was Shigeki Fukushima, the name of his battleship, the battleship Fuso.
Lindy passed these details on to Japanese officials in Australia, who told her tracing the diary's owner wouldn't be an easy task. For 2 years, Lindy waited and wondered. Then last December, she received some incredible news.
I was absolutely awestruck when the Japanese consulate told me they had found his daughter. And it was wonderful.
They found the man's daughter Yuri living in Hiroshima in Japan. And when she heard of the diary, she was stunned. Her father had died 67 years ago when she was only 2 years old. So she had no memory of him and just this photo. Yuri wrote to Lindy to thank her for returning the diary, but eventually decided it was something she had to do in person. So she flew to Australia to meet and thank Lindy face to face.
Nice to meet you. I felt his soul really wanted to go back to me. I felt his determination that he really wanted to come back to me. I'm very grateful to Lindy.
The meeting was very emotional for Yuri, but for Lindy it also finally revealed some of the mysteries written in the diary's pages. Yuri said that her father had written of happy memories at home with his family and his love for them.
He wrote in a diary that he thought about his daughter every day.
It also uncovered some things about her father's life. Yuri had believed her father died at sea, but the journal shows that he'd actually boarded another ship and sailed to New Guinea. There, he wrote of an attack on his camp.
The person who was next to him died, but he survived. He wrote, "We can't change our destinies."
That was the diary's last entry, and for Lindy, it showed that her father couldn't have been involved in the man's death, because the dates were 5 months before Lindy's father-in-law arrived in New Guinea for the war. So it looks like the question of how an Australian soldier came to have this Japanese diary will forever remain a mystery.
Did you know that almost 1 million Australians served in World War II? That includes men and women who worked in the Army, Navy and Air Force. They're one of the most colourful bird species in the Northern Territory, but at the moment they're behaving like they feel a bit off colour. Red-collared lorikeets are being found passed out in parks across the Territory. Here's Kirsty to explain.
Lately, the red-collared lorikeets around here haven't been looking the best.
They stagger around, they can fall out of trees. They actually appear to be a lot more friendly than normal.
They flock to the top end in the thousands, but when the wet season starts building up, the birds start passing out. Scientists reckon all this strange behaviour could be caused by alcohol.
Gathering around big trees that are fruiting, and that fruit actually ferments and gets those animals drunk.
And while this behaviour might look a bit funny to us, it can be dangerous for the lorikeets.
It is quite a threat to them when they get these sort of drunken symptoms, because of course that opens up attacks from predators.
And there's another problem too. Bird carers have noticed a mysterious illness.
They take a long time to get over it. They take 2 to 3 days at least. As well as that, they often have sort of respiratory signs, so runny eyes, runny nose.
About half the birds taken in survive, but hundreds die every year. So more research is being done to find out why. The race is on to find the answer ahead of the next wet season, so these parents won't have a wonky walk anymore.
Have you ever watched a bee fly? They're extremely talented flyers who can perform some pretty nifty manoeuvres. So what if humans could copy this and build a plane that could fly just like a bee? Well, a group of engineers and researchers are trying just this. James has a look.
It's not your average model plane, because this one sees just like a bee.
If you look at the things that he does with a brain that weighs less than a milligram, about the size of a sesame seed, you find these creatures can go fly several tens of kilometers, find their way back home and do a perfect landing. It doesn't use any radar, it doesn't use any LiDAR, no sonar, nothing, just vision, right?
So with this idea, researchers have come up with their very own bee plane. The aircraft is set up with 2 cameras that feed data to an onboard computer, like the eyes of a bee, attached to its small brain.
So it has panoramic all-round vision, which means you can measure the motion of the world all around you and use that to guide your flight.
The researchers' dream is to engineer a lightweight machine that can fly itself only using a tiny amount of energy. And flying insects like bees are living proof that it's possible. Here at this Brain Institute, they're trying to learn more about why that is. This flight simulator shows how bees' vision makes it possible for them to navigate so well.
We can measure the bee's thrust, and we can use that information to allow the bee to control the speed of the visuals that it experiences, and then look at how it's able to do this.
Their secret is known as optic flow.
The image of the world moves in your eyes in a certain pattern. And by analysing how that image moves, you can work out how far away different objects are, not only that, but also how you are moving within that world.
Here, they're studying how bees adjust to the wind to make smooth landings.
We just blow wind at them from different directions, and one thing which was obvious from the beginning is that as soon as there is wind and they get exposed to that, they turn their whole body into the wind. What we don't check with the bees is if there's perhaps some other pattern, another method they use to perform a secure landing.
Now researchers are taking these experiments and using their results to help improve the planes.
Particularly in windy conditions, the computer can fly a lot better than I can, just purely because it can correct about 25 times a second, and I'm nowhere near that fast.
What's amazing is that this plane is now flying itself. Thanks to the bee data, it's going through a series of pre-programmed moves.
At the moment it's using optic flow to hold 30 metres, and now it's doing a loop using the horizon information.
Like a bee, the plane doesn't need GPS, radar or sonar to fly and land. It simply analyses the world in front of its eyes. And if this plane turns out to be as reliable as a bee, it could one day explore some places humans have never seen before.
That's it from BTN Extra. Don't forget there's heaps of cool stuff on our website, abc.net.au/ABC3. I'll be back later with News on 3. See you then.